Now, when you think of rice, you probably picture paddy fields in Asia, flooded, serene, people in conical hats, and you'd be mostly right. But then there's Australia, a country mostly famous for things that want to kill you, and vast, empty spaces where even the flies carry a packed lunch. Yet somehow these Aussies decided, you know what this sunburnt land needs? Rice. It sounds like a recipe for disaster, like trying to grow pineapples in Iceland. And this is the surprising bit, they're actually rather good at it. It's not some quaint, old-fashioned business with a bloke and his ox. Oh no, this is rice farming with rockets attached. The traditional image of rice farming, all gentle hands and ancient wisdom, gets a bit of a shock when it lands in Australia. Here it's less about zen and more about brute force, clever engineering, and a healthy dose of "she'll be right, mate." They've taken an ancient crop and dragged it kicking and screaming into the 21st century. Forget your romantic notions, this is industrial-scale agriculture, designed to wrestle a decent crop out of a landscape that often seems determined to give you nothing but dust and disappointment. And the thing is, it works. Surprisingly well, in fact. Which, for someone like me who usually expects things to go horribly wrong, is quite an achievement. Let's see how these mad geniuses pull it off. Right, so you've decided to grow rice in a country that's mostly desert. First problem, what kind of rice are you going to plant? You can't just pop down to the local garden center and grab a bag of rice seeds, generic. Oh no, that would be far too simple. The Australians have turned seed selection into a proper science, probably involving people in white coats and lots of complicated charts. They need varieties that can handle the Australian climate, the scorching summers, the sometimes unpredictable water supply, and the generally stroppy nature of the land. It's like choosing a car for a rally. You need something tough, reliable, and surprisingly quick. They've come up with some cracking names for these super seeds. You've got Reiziq, which sounds like a character from a science fiction film. This one is a medium grain variety, apparently very popular, and it's bred to be water efficient. Then there's Sherpa, which I suppose is meant to guide you to a successful harvest. A bit like those hardy blokes in the Himalayas. Once you've got your fancy scientifically engineered seeds, you can't just scatter them on any old bit of dirt, especially not in Australia where the land can be, shall we say, uncooperative. Rice, as you know, likes water, lots of it. And to manage that water efficiently, you need fields that are flatter than a pancake after it's been run over by a steamroller. This is where the big toys come out, and frankly, this is the bit I'd probably enjoy the most. We're talking about serious earth-moving equipment guided by technology that would make NASA proud. The star of the show here is laser leveling. Yes, lasers. Farmers are using actual lasers to make their fields perfectly flat. So, the land is flatter than Norfolk thanks to lasers and enormous tractors. The next step is to actually get the seeds into the ground. And as with everything in Australian rice farming, there's more than one way to skin this particular cat, and both involve a fair bit of cleverness. You can't just wander about chucking handfuls of seed willy-nilly. This is a precision operation. The aim is to get an even distribution of seeds, giving each one the best possible chance to sprout and grow into a healthy rice-producing plant. It's like planning a military campaign but with more chlorophyll. One popular method, particularly for pre-germinated seeds sown into shallow water, is aerial seeding. Yes, you heard that right. They use aeroplanes, little crop duster type planes buzzing low over the flooded fields, releasing a carefully calibrated shower of seeds. It sounds rather dramatic, and I imagine it's quite a sight. The advantage of aerial seeding is speed, and the ability to cover large areas quickly. Plus, it avoids compacting the soil with heavy machinery after it's been prepared and flooded. Once the seeds are in the ground or in the water, depending on the sowing method, then comes the bit that requires patience, and, if you're a farmer, a healthy dose of anxiety. This is the growth period. For several months, the tiny seeds transform into lush, green rice plants, hopefully laden with grain. But it's not just a case of sitting back and waiting for the magic to happen. Oh no. Modern Australian rice farmers are more like helicopter parents, constantly monitoring their crop, ready to intervene at the slightest sign of trouble. And they've got some seriously cool gadgets to help them. One of the most exciting bits of kit they're using these days is drones. Not the ones that deliver pizzas, though that might be useful during a long day in the field. These are sophisticated agricultural drones equipped with multispectral cameras. They fly over the rice paddies, collecting data that the human eye can't see. They can identify areas of the crop that are stressed, perhaps due to a lack of water or nutrients, or an attack by pests or diseases. This allows farmers to target their interventions precisely, applying fertilizer or pest control measures only where they're needed, rather than blanket spraying the entire field. It's clever, it saves money, and it's better for the environment. Irrigation management is, of course, absolutely critical. After months of careful nurturing, watering, and anxiously watching little green shoots turn into tall, swaying stalks of rice, there comes a point when you have to, well, pull the plug. It seems a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it? You've spent all this time and effort keeping the fields nicely flooded, creating a perfect watery haven for your rice, and then, just when things are looking promising, you drain it all away. It's like inviting everyone to a pool party and then emptying the pool just as they're about to jump in. But, as with most things in farming that seem odd to outsiders, there's a very good reason for it. This pre-harvest draining is a critical step. It typically happens a few weeks before the anticipated harvest date. The main reason is to allow the rice grains to ripen and dry out properly. If the fields remain flooded, the grains can retain too much moisture, which can lead to problems with quality and storage. And so, the moment of truth arrives. The fields are drained, the rice is golden brown and suitably dry, and the air is thick with anticipation, and probably a bit of dust. This is harvest time. Forget any romantic notions of workers patiently cutting sheaves of rice by hand. This is Australia. They do things on a grand scale, and that means unleashing the combine harvester's enormous hungry machines that look like they've driven straight out of a Transformers movie. These mechanical behemoths are the undisputed kings of the rice harvest, capable of cutting, threshing, and cleaning the grain in a single noisy pass. These combine harvesters are technological marvels. As they move through the field, a rotating reel at the front, called the header, sweeps the rice stalks towards a cutter bar. The cut stalks are then fed into the machine, where a threshing drum separates the grains from the stalks. The grains then pass through a series of sieves and fans that clean away any chaff, straw, and other debris. Harvesting the rice is a big job, but it's not the end of the story. The grain that comes off the combine harvester, often called paddy rice, isn't what you find in those neat bags at the supermarket. Oh no. It's still got its tough outer husk, and it's probably mixed with a bit of field debris, despite the combine's best efforts. So the next stage is processing and milling, which is where the rough, field-harvested rice is transformed into the clean, polished grains we're all familiar with. This usually happens at large, centralized mills, and it's another area where technology plays a huge part. First, the paddy rice is thoroughly cleaned. This involves passing it through various machines that use screens, aspirators, which suck away lighter material, and even magnets to remove stones, straw, dust, and any other unwanted bits and bobs. Then comes the hulling process. The rice grains are passed between abrasive surfaces or rubber rollers that rub off the inedible outer husk. What's left is brown rice, which still has its bran layer intact. Some people like brown rice because it's all healthy and fibrous. So there you have it, rice farming in Australia. It's a story of taking a crop that, by all rights, shouldn't really thrive in such a dry place, and then, through sheer bloody-mindedness and a whole heap of clever technology, making it work. And not just work, but work brilliantly. The sustainability efforts are particularly impressive. Given that water is the biggest headache, Australian rice farmers have become world leaders in water efficiency. Those laser-leveled fields, the precise irrigation scheduling, the development of water-wise rice varieties, it all adds up to using significantly less water per ton of rice than many other parts of the world. They haven't stopped there. The push for sustainability extends to reducing chemical use. Integrated pest management strategies, which involve using natural predators and careful monitoring to control pests, are becoming increasingly common. The use of drones and GPS-guided sprayers means that when chemicals are needed, they are applied with pinpoint accuracy, minimizing waste and environmental impact. They're also focusing on soil health, with practices like retaining stubble after harvest to improve soil structure and reduce erosion.